Right then, the news has just broken that Manchester United have got the deal over the line for Dan Ashworth from Newcastle, and he will be joining, which I guess is good news because you want all of the people in the mix, I guess. Now, I've just been trying to piece together a little bit of what I can find out and what we know about him, and you look at his journey and look at his route coming through. Massive part of what happened at England, and there's positives and negatives with what happened at England. Obviously then going to Brighton and then with Newcastle. Now, if we look at what he's sort of achieved across, I think he was at West Brom prior to that as well. If we look at what he's achieved during those journeys and that stages of his career, he's always been a part of or helped create, because it's very hard to sort of correctly apportion credit and blame with directors of football and that sort of stuff. But he's been part of clubs that have created and developed systems, and the systems that he's created, a bit of a pathway with England, was one of the major hands in making that England winning mentality for a lot of the younger age groups, which may have led to the likes of what Phil Foden are doing and that now. Obviously, again, there's correctly apportioning credit and blame. Manchester City need a hand in the development of Phil Foden, but also England stuff won't have hurt either. With the other stuff at England, I think he had a bit of a hand in St George's Park, which is a serious facility, and with what Manchester United are trying to do going forward, you would expect to maybe see him involved in that to some degree. At Brighton, again, shown that he can bring people in. And while he's bringing people in, buy low, sell high, that sort of model that United are just notoriously horrendous at. So the buy low, sell high thing is probably something that United have looked at. And I don't think at United it would necessarily be the same. And this is where one of the worries comes in. United, you don't necessarily want to buy high, you want to buy mid. And can you then take them and develop them into top-level footballers? That would be the aim, I would assume, at Manchester United. Not necessarily showing you can do that, although I would say that with Newcastle, took it to a bit of a higher level, was involved in the recruitment there, again, building processes, the hiring of Eddie Howe, probably the hiring of Gareth Southgate, which is maybe a little bit of a worry. And again, that's why I said it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's some good, there's some bad. With what's going on at Newcastle, they're buying players to fit a system. Their recruitment department is able to buy players to fit a system, and that sort of excites me because it eliminates the sort of roll of the dice of whether someone's going to be good enough to play for the club. And I think that's where United have really, really struggled. And I think Jim Ratcliffe's on top of this, to be honest, because he's been out in his interviews that he's been doing saying things like, oh, well, you look at Real Madrid and Manchester United over the last 10 years, they've kind of spent the same. And you go, we have. But the thinking behind the spend and the strategy behind the spend have not been anywhere near good enough. Dan Ashworth coming in as director of football, you hope he takes a little bit of care of that. Now, by all accounts, doesn't really like dealing with agents. Seems to have his own opinions on a lot of stuff, well on top of all of those sorts of things. That's a positive, because I think United have been led by agents in the past. We got too friendly with some agents in the past, gone to the well of that agent more than one time, and again, been burnt by it. Woodward probably got suckered into it by the likes of Raiola, by the likes of George Mendes. This is the player that you need, thinking you're keeping him sweet for a bigger fish coming down the line, when actually you just want to buy the players that are going to fit the system that you've got. And that's been United's problem, is not really having a strategy. Not really having a strategy in terms of recruitment of manager, not really having a strategy in terms of recruitment of players. So if I was to say, what does Dan Ashworth need to do? It's strategise, and it's implement a strategy. By all accounts, there's some good things going on, some good sort of feedback from what's been going on with Jason Wilcox, like it. There's still some uncertainty about what's going to happen with Ruud van Nistelrooy, and if you do get Ruud van Nistelrooy in, do we see Steve McLaren move sideways into a slightly more administrative role? And the likes of Darren Fletcher, what I'm hearing is Darren Fletcher has already been given his new role within the new regime and his role is going to be one of transition from academy to men's football, which is interesting because he's one of the first people he's probably going to have to do that with is his own son or sons, although I think Jack's probably closer to making it happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him on tour, in all honesty. But that's Darren Fletcher has now been moved into that new role. Barada is out here, by the way. I'm in Germany, on the off chance it's a sign in German there and everything. Barada is out here. He's actually in the hotel that I'm in here. I've not seen him, but he's in here. If I can grip him, I'm obviously going to grip him. But he's in here. So people are starting to get to grips with what we're going, and obviously that means there's loads of transfer talk going around. I see in the sort of vibe is that the lit looks like he's going to happen, but I think United are in the market for more than one centre half. We're obviously going to try and get a defensive midfielder in. You would expect us to bring in a forward. Would 4 be enough? Let's say it's 2 centre halves, 1 DM and 1 forward. Let's say it's Xerxes, Ugarte, De Ligt, Lenny Euro. What about that as a 4? Would that be the 4? Could that be the 4? You're talking about a loan probably for Ugarte with a fee kicked down the line. 40 million or so for Xerxes, pretty good value. Euro, I'm not sure his release clause, it's not a lot. And then it's not bad, that, is it? And De Ligt is hopefully 30 million-ish. That's interesting. That is interesting. I like that a lot. But yeah, Dan Ashworth now done. United have finally come to terms with whatever it is Newcastle was trying to get sorted out. That's a massive positive that they've got that managed to get sorted. It looks like the squad is kind of getting fully assembled now. Again, I think that's a huge positive. We are going to have the front of office at least sorted out. We're going to have the people taking care of training sorted out. The manager's contract will be getting fixed and boxed off and sorted out. And then you would hope, it seems like they're on top of the transfers. The Euros is going to have absolutely slowed down any pursuit of players, or as well as Copa America. So I think you're about where you would expect to be. Interesting to see what goes on the tour. And if anything actually changes in terms of how that tour is operated and the personnel that are taking those sessions. Obviously, new coaching staff coming in all the time. It doesn't necessarily feel like a sea change just yet, but it might be. It absolutely could be on our way to seeing a little bit of a sea change, which is not a bad thing. But you guys let me know what's going on. See you in the next one.